Next up, the 2020 Local Hero Award in association with Design. Now, in my mind, I'm a local hero. But really, we all know what the genuine article looks like. They're the people who selflessly give themselves over to organising races, to helping juniors learn how to ride, learn how to signal, learn how to overtake others safely. They love the sport, they love the activity of cycling, and this proves it. Now, this was a hugely popular award. Hundreds of people got in touch to suggest names, but only 4 could make it through. First though, here's a message from the award sponsor, Design. Phil Wright. Herne Hill velodrome is one of the success stories of British cycling. Over the years, it's become a conveyor belt for talent as the likes of Laura Kenny, Leo and Ethan Hayter and many others have developed there. Phil has been at the centre of the magic that takes place in Herne Hill. Mary Lafferly has been running events for more than 25 years and still organises Fife's midweek TT League. The recipient of Scottish cycling's Gold Badge of Honour, Mary volunteers as a timekeeper and a TT commissaire. Dr. Lynn Williamson is a founding member of community cycling group The Far Cycles. Lynn was instrumental in providing Farringdon with its own cycle park, complete with miniature road network and multi-use games area. Just 2 years ago, Ian Watson was talking to friends about his ambitions to help and encourage more women into cycling. Now he runs multiple race skills sessions each week, a full race series, and runs Cycle Club London complete with a women's development race team. The winner of the 2020 Local Hero Award in association with Design is Phil Wright. We caught up with Phil to hear a little bit more about his extraordinary efforts.
I've come here to Herne Hill Velodrome in Dulwich, South London to meet Phil Wright, the winner of our 2020 Local Hero Award. Now, anyone who's involved in their local race scene will know just how important people like Phil are. So I'm really excited to meet him and find out a little bit more. So congratulations, Phil. The readers of Cycling Weekly have voted you as their 2020 local hero.
Thank you. I'm very honoured and slightly embarrassed. Very tough.
This is for the work you've done down here for the last 15 or so years. Tell us a little bit about how you first got involved.
I think I started come riding here about 2005 because I was a triathlete, a very bad triathlete, and I wanted to improve my cycling times. But then it was the old school coach Dave Creasy was here, and Russell Williams was here as well. So I think through them I quickly fell in love with track cycling. So from sort of 2005, 2006 I started coming here regularly. And then my son got into it, that was the big thing, and he was down here all the time. We lived just around the corner and he was here all the time. So I was here all the time with him. And Peter Cattermole, who was the chair of VCL, encouraged me to be a coach. This classic way a parent gets involved in cycling. So I started coaching here, working as a coach here.
And you've done many roles.
Yeah, but then tragically what happened, the reason I got so involved was that it was threatened with closure in 2009, 2010, which was an absolute disaster in our house. So then being a coach turned into being on the Herne Hill Velodrome Trust, which is the charity that now runs it. That turned into being a founder member of the Friends of Herne Hill Velodrome. That turned into organising events and selling merchandise, which is still available online. Doing the banners, which are still available. Journey driving I started doing through with Tony Hibbert and Derek Marlowe, who used to run the Journey course here with Graham Bristow. Commentating came out, so it's all kind of snowballed from the fact that it was threatened with closure, and it's really addictive volunteering here because it's such a lovely place, so many lovely people.
And every time we've spoken, you've been really keen to point out the hard work of many volunteers down here at the velodrome.
When you talk about Herne Hill, it's 129 years of people volunteering and keeping the place going. And in my time here, if you're talking about the VCL, if you're talking about the Herne Hill Velodrome Trust, if you're talking about the Friends of Herne Hill Velodrome, if you're talking about Herne Hill Youth, when my son first started, that's so many volunteers, so many people have put so much in. It's kind of daft to single one person out a little bit. I mean, a win's a win and all that. So yeah, I kind of like to dedicate this to all of them because there's so many of us. It's a real community thing. And particularly there's one guy who sadly we lost this year, George Slater, who when I first came here was running events, but he'd volunteered here since the 60s and was here in his 80s up to this year doing sign-on Saturdays and for racing. So I'd like to dedicate this to George Slater, who is your classic stalwart kind of Herne Hill volunteer.
I mean, the history here is incredible. The track was opened in 1891, the same year that Cycling Magazine was first published. It's the only venue from the 1948 London Olympics that's still in use today. I mean, midweek local leagues, international races have happened over the decades. I mean, it's a phenomenal facility, and it's the work from you and all the others who've really secured it for many years to come, I think.
Well, I hope so. I think that's the thing. When you do fundraising for here, it's really clear how quickly how much love there is for this place because of the history.
I mean, do you know how much money you have raised over the years for this pavilion and
no idea.
The lighting, the track surface, the fencing? It's all new.
The big spenders came from the trust more than me, and you've got to mention them. So British Cycling relayed the track. Southwark Council, their Olympic legacy, paid for the middle bits and the lights, I think. The pavilion is Marathon Trust, Sport England, Southwark Council again, and the Mayor's Fund. We've had a huge amount of money from RAFA recently, the RAFA Foundation, which is going to do so much, particularly with expanding the use. Exodus Travels, the travel company, they must be struggling, but they're still sponsoring us for the pavilion here. DeLawn Cycles paid for the PA system, which has made a big difference as far as me commentating. But yeah, I don't know how much we've raised. We had a big campaign for kitting out the pavilion. That was, I don't know, I can't remember, 85 grand was it or something?
Right, so we've stepped up here out of the rain so we can see a bit more of the track. And this track is already a really important venue for the production of talent for Olympic titles, World Championships. You've had the likes of Joanna Rousel, Laura Trott, Ethan Hayter. They've all come through the VC Laundrers plan who are based here. Yeah. And you've done some coaching with the younger riders here as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can claim to have much an influence. Certainly not on Joanna Rousel and Laura Trott. They were before my time. Ethan, I did his induction and I took him and his dad to a few races. But I think they'll say that what they got from here was a whole sort of community of coaches, of which I am a very lowly part-time one. And it's the community of coaches here that helped them along on that pathway.
But I mean, it is an incredible production line of talent coming out of this venue.
Yeah.
And of course, your son as well, who is a World Tour rider.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go.
Tell us about Fred.
There's a case in point. I think anyone who's seen me race knows that there's not much genetics going on there. I think he'll tell you he's a son of Herne Hill, and I certainly watched him developing here with great pride. But it was all the advice he was getting from so many different people here. I mean, I'd try and name them, but there'd be too many, and I'd miss someone out. But you're constantly seeing VCL coaches, British cycling coaches, giving him little snippets of advice. And I've heard him say in interviews as well that it's the other riders here as well that are his biggest influence. The fact that he was trying to beat Ethan, who was a mate. They've got this great community of young riders, like a social club, but they're all trying to destroy each other on the bike. So trying to beat Ethan, trying to beat Jacob, everyone he was riding with. There's Simon Lewis, who used to work at Cycling Weekly, who was the kind of king of track league when Ethan and Fred were juniors or younger, under 16. And it was like, how do we beat Simon Lewis?
So So we've moved down to the track centre so you can see a bit more of the new pavilion. What do you remember of the period around about 2010? I mean, back then Dulwich Estates wouldn't give British Cycling a long lease, they wouldn't put the money in to resurface the track, the pavilion was falling down, the chairs were all cordoned off. It looked like for a while we could lose the whole place.
As I said, it was like an absolute tragedy in our house, because me and my son had both started really getting into it. And I just bought my first track bike. And then I remember going to there was a big meeting at Dulwich College, just the amount of people there, and again, the love for this place. It was a real kind of power of the people moment, that so many people were saying, we can't let this happen, you know, and it was led by Hilary Peachy. But yeah, it was that kind of people power moment where, hang on, this can't happen, this place is too good to let this happen, and everyone coming together. It was really powerful.
So here are a few messages from people saying thanks for all the work that Phil and people like him have done here down at Herne Hill.
Me and my dad, we got more involved in the sport together at the same time, really, at Herne Hill velodrome. And I've got fond memories of being sort of 12, 13, and I was racing him in the bees, basically desperately trying to beat each other. I'm just so proud of him. He's done so much for the velodrome, and part of me though thinks that the only reason he's won this award is because he's got the loudest voice in the whole place.
I'm Isabel from Wheels for Wellbeing. Phil's an absolute local hero. He works with our disabled participants and gets them enthused in cycling at the Herne Hill velodrome. Fantastic bloke.
Hi, I'm Flora from VCL. On behalf of all of the youth, I want to say a massive thank you to Phil. We love the time you give up for us and the interest you take in us all. You're a true part of what makes Herne Hill great.
Congratulations, Phil. The work that you do and the real sense of community you foster at Herne Hill is a fantastic example of what makes our sport great. Enjoy the award, Phil. I'll be raising a glass to you.
Hey Phil, it's Taylor here. Just found out about your amazing award, and I can't really think of anyone, especially in London, that's more deserving of a volunteer award in cycling, of course. And I've just been reflecting a little bit on probably 10, 11 years ago that I first came down to Herne Hill and met yourself and of course met Fred as well. And I think when I think about Herne Hill, the community there and especially the volunteers that make it happen is really what I think of. And yeah, those times racing there, I'm incredibly grateful because I have a lot of fond memories from first starting racing there, really. So yeah, I just want to say a massive congratulations. We're all super happy that you've got this award, and I hope you can enjoy it a little bit in your own humble way, and see you soon. All the best. Cheers.
And of course, there's a burgeoning race scene down here, both on the track and the cyclocross course out the back of the track.
Yeah, burgeoning. I mean, that's the great thing. It's been going on racing here has been going on since 1891. But I now think that we have more race events here, I think, probably than any other cycling venue in the country. I mean, there's so many. There's your actual track league. There's Vets League, and you've got to talk about the vets here. It's the grey pound here. The vets movement here is fantastic. Over 40s riding is huge, and providing lots of new volunteers here. There's the Vets League, the Women's League here. There's a women's track league. There's women's only sessions, which is a huge development. There's the open season meetings. There's the local clubs all have an open track meeting, and we managed to sneak in. Just between the lockdowns, with social distancing, we had about 5 or 6 track leagues, and I think they were some of the best atmospheres I've seen down here in my time, because people were so glad to be out having a beer, watching live cycling, and it was just terrific.
Well, congratulations again, Phil, and many thanks for taking the time to come down and receive your award and talk about Herne Hill. And we'll finish with one final message to show why the work of volunteers up and down the country is so important to the racing scene.
Phil Wright has led, still leads in fact, coaching sessions at Herne Hill velodrome. He's organised championships, spearheaded fundraising and generally injected the energy that's turned a facility into a community. But don't take my word for it. To quote one of his many supporters verbatim, Phil connects us, chivies us along and celebrates the positive, open culture of this wonderful community resource. He is irresistible and we love him. Praise indeed.